Okay, this is a little video that's just showing you how I drew this giant octopus today. It probably took about 3 hours altogether, including some breaks, and I thought I'd just go over what I did in case any of that might be useful to you. So this is Illustrator, which you might not be used to using, but it's a really useful tool for me to make little templates or guidelines, especially for weapons, and this time I'm using it for the octopus's tentacles. Probably saw there I drew a bunch of squiggles, basically, tentacly shaped just flat, and then I've used the bevel and extrude 3D option to make them into a kind of template. And then I'm just using them to really roughly guide what I'm going to do. I decided I don't like that one right there, so it looks a bit different. But just super rough. Don't worry about it too much. Add some detail. Delete what you need. Don't warping the head around a bit there to make it a better shape. And then undoing it all, I think, after that. Now I'm going over the very rough sketch to define it a little bit more so that when I do this next step, which is first of all removing that tentacle and deciding I want an entirely different shape. So once everything's satisfactory, I go over it with my more consistent line work, which I try to do the same thickness of line for all of my pictures so that they are consistent across the board and they all go together. Here I am drawing lots of lines, lots of curves, sorry. It's always worth flipping the canvas around so you get a good angle. I'm left-handed. You might be able to tell from the way that I do my curves. I always tend to have them in the same way that my hand arcs, and you'll probably find the same, so you might want to do it differently, the opposite way around if you're right-handed. So that's the main outline, adding where the tentacles, not the tentacles, the suckers are going to go next. Just working out where they'll be, and then the next thing I'll do is add the little suckers themselves using quite a neat little technique, which is to make, you can see on the top right there, it's a white color layer with a black mask, which means there's nothing there, and then you use the white brush tool on it and you're drawing the white splodges that you can see there. And that's useful because it means it's non-destructive. You don't have to delete the line that is beneath it. It's still there. But you apply a stroke effect around it and it gives you the outline. So as you can see, I added and deleted a bunch of them. And because it's on a separate layer and it's non-destructive, that's all no problem. That's made a second white stroked layer there to go underneath it so that the suckers can be on top of each other as well. Neaten it up a little bit and then add just some details so they have a little bit of depth to them. So I use this technique a lot for adding like belts or buckles, details, embossing or engraving on armor as well. That's me neatening up the layer names so that I know where everything is. That's a little like fingerprint stamp brush, and then I'm just smudging it a bit with a gritty smudge tool, just so there's a little bit of texture on him. And then this is shading it as I explain in some fair amount of detail in the Ressian video if you want more detail about that, because that was in real time, so quite slow and steady. You might pick up more from that one. But yeah, just adding a little bit of depth, going over each thing, which might be a little bit tedious for you. Maybe not. Maybe you'll find it soothing. For the highlighting, I did a bit more shine than I usually do because it's a shiny octopus. It's gonna be. Imagine they'd have wet skin. Hopefully, I know they can in 5e at least they can last a long time out of water, but hopefully they get a little bit of water on them. I decided they needed a bit more texture or interest on their head, and ended up going with this route, just adding some splotches and then fading it out, adding some more. This is the white highlights, which I did more than I usually do because again, he looks like he needs to be a bit more shiny. This is the blue, which is just a bit of reflective lighting again and knock it back. He needed a bit more highlight in his nose. Doing a few color variations because of the way we do everything non-destructive and layered, you can change the colors really easily. It means the shading isn't quite as, it doesn't have as much depth and color as it could, but it ends up looking pretty nice regardless. And it's really nice to be able to just change the colors like that. And there you go. There's the completed one. If that was way too fast for you, let me know. It's all a bit of an experiment for me here at this point. I'm just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, what's interesting and what's not, so let me know. And there you go. One octopus will be coming up on the Patreon for those of you that are on there soon. Thanks.